What's up, everybody? It is Joe Bunn and Mike Walter back with another episode of your favorite podcast, the greatest podcast of 2018, the PHDJ Podcast.
I love when you set that bar so high, Joe. It's awesome.
It's subliminal mind toying.
Is that it?
It's the Jedi mind trick.
Yeah.
These are not the droids you seek. So what's up, everybody? This is going to be our last actual recording of 2018. We're going to do a little replay for you guys next week of a really cool Christmas episode we did last year. So I thought, how are things, Mike? First off,
things are great, Joe. Things are really, really good. I love this time of year. I do a lot of reminiscing this time of year and kind of look back on the year that's about to end. And I did this on Facebook the other day. I put up my favorite album of the year, and I'll probably put my favorite book of the year and movie of the year and things like that. I'm a firm believer in just kind of recapping and looking back this time of year. So I love it.
I need to take a little more time to do that. We did a major kitchen renovation, which I know you did several years ago at your house, and it was a nightmare. It's almost there, so it was just a bad time of year to do it, but
there is never a good time of year to redo your. I mean, unless my sister and her husband a couple years ago, they were going on vacation for 2 weeks, and they had workers come in and redo their bathroom. Yeah. And that was ingenious because they obviously had to trust people to be in their apartment while they were gone. But, 2 weeks away and they came back and their bathroom was done. So if you could pull something like that off, great. But if not, Kelly and I redid the kitchen when we moved in here. It's a pain in the ass.
I love that story. I came by your house when I was in Jersey that one day, and you told me that story about, I don't think y'all were redoing that, but you were redoing a bathroom or something.
Oh, we redid the bathroom. I had to walk over to. We had a great neighbor who since has passed away, but he's basically across our driveway, and he let us use his bathroom. So for about a week and a half, Kelly and I were both walking over in our robe and little toiletry bag. It was middle of October, so it wasn't wintry, but it was chilly enough that you had to make that walk briskly. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
Oh, God, that was a great story. Well,
great. Yeah.
So we, speaking of what Mike was saying in terms of recapping 2018 and looking back a little bit, I think, he and I both had, good years business-wise. Wouldn't you agree, Mike? I mean,
I would agree.
Elite had a good year.
Elite is wrapping up a fantastic year, and I would agree personally and professionally.
Same.
And you?
Same
Bunn?
Here. I think Bunn DJ Company had a good year. We always do a little better than the year before. Nothing, we're not making these astronomical leaps like we did, 15, 20 years ago when I was adding, 2 DJs.
Yeah, my days of 25% growth are gone. Right. But that's because that. It's sort of like weight loss. I mean, if you're overweight and you first start losing weight, the first week you take off 15 pounds and then the next week 12, then you get to a point of maintenance where you're losing a pound here, a pound there. And I kind of think business wise oppositely, obviously, because we're gaining still. But I think that's where we're at. Those days of going from 4 DJs to 7 and your business just kind of, almost doubled in a year. Those days are gone.
Same here. But still a great year. And so we decided to look back and name a couple of topics.
Reminisce, if you will. Reminisce.
Go back. Yeah, a little throwback. Yeah. So let's start with a softball, Mike, going into music because, I think that's one of the things that you and I connect on. Not that we really have very different musical tastes.
Yeah, I think we do, but the fact that we both still listen to new music, it always amazes me on Facebook. You see, and even when DJs do it, they talk about, there's no new music that's good anymore. And I'm like, what? I mean, you can still pick around and find something you like. Yes. So yeah, I do respect that about you, that you are still out there listening to new music, going to concerts, and not just legacy concerts, not, just like the old bands that are still touring, but the newer ones,
So what did you, I'm sorry, I missed that post. What did you put for your favorite album?
So this year, are you familiar with Janelle Monáe?
Yeah, I love her.
A singer, also actress. She's done a few movies recently. She put out an album called Dirty Computer that was by far and away, well, I shouldn't say by far and away because I did have a close second, but it was my favorite album. I listened to it. I think it came out in the spring because I remember going to Midwest DJs Live, and it was that's when I was like, I was just discovering it. So it was nonstop. I went for a run one morning and listened to it nonstop. And on the plane, I listened to it nonstop. And I still dial that one up from time to time. And it is my favorite. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that it is very Prince inspired.
Oh, wow.
Janelle Monáe worked with Prince before he passed away, and she credits him in the liner notes. And you can hear his influence all over the album.
Man, I got to listen to this record.
Yeah, listen to, I watched it the other day, and a few people have messaged me and said that they listened to it based on my post, and they really like it. So I think the whole album is great.
Awesome. What was the second, if we can?
Oh, the David Byrne album, American Utopia. That's and not only did I love the album, but Kelly and I went to see, because he toured with that. We went to see the show twice. We went to see in the spring and also in the fall when he came back around.
But it was just him, though, right? Not Talking Heads.
It's not Talking Heads, but he does a couple of Talking Head songs. But he was doing almost the entire album. Damn. And I really do. I like David Byrne. If you know Talking Head stuff, is very quirky and out there. And the show itself, you should look it up on YouTube. And if you search 2018 David Byrne tour, you'll see some clips. The show itself was phenomenal, and I thought that album was really good too.
What kind of venue was he?
We saw him
like 5,000 seats?
Count Basie, maybe what's Count Basie? 2,000 seater, like small. Yeah, he's not selling arenas anymore.
No, right. All right. I'm moving both of these into my review folder on Spotify. So.
Oh, cool. All
right. So
favorite album?
Yeah. I would say, and this is so really nobody knows this band for some reason, but whenever I go see them, man, people go nuts. It's spelled like capital LANY, said Laney, but it's like LA, New York, basically. Kind of like a pop. It's almost like a dance pop band. I don't know.
Okay.
The album's called Malibu Nights, and the band's called Laney. Really, anything they do. I think you would like it, Mike. It's kind of 80s-ish, drum machine-ish. I don't know. The guy is definitely...
Oh, it just came out. It just came out in October.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then even newer than that, I would say my very close second, totally different vibe, a lot more brooding. There's your word, brooding, for the day. And moody would be Mumford & Sons, Delta.
I haven't listened to their new album.
God,
and Kelly was a big fan. Really brooding, because I always think of Mumford & Sons from what's that one big? Yeah.
The Cave, where it's like stomp, stomp.
Right.
It's different. I mean, there are some songs like that, but it's a little more moody and chill. You know what I mean?
All right.
I don't know. Delta, you'll love.
I'll have to check it out.
Anyway, what about like if you had to pick a 2018 song, Mike, that you played at events this year? Not that's necessarily going to last like an Uptown.
Yeah, no, I understand the question. I actually just did. I usually do an annual blog about that. So you're talking about event songs, not me personally.
Exactly. Right.
So if anyone is interested in seeing my whole list, you can go to the Elite Entertainment website.
Oh yeah.
Click on our blog. I wrote a blog recently, or just earlier this week, best songs of 2018. So my number one was Finesse. And I know you're going to shake your head, Joe, because it's not a 2018 song. That came out 2 years ago. But the re-release with Cardi B on it came out earlier this year. And that, for me, has been the biggest new addition, with One Kiss, Calvin Harris song, being probably a close second.
I definitely played both of those this year. I would probably have put... either Drake, Nice for What, or In My Feelings, either one of those. I think the reason I pick a Drake song is he split the vote. He had so many, because even God's Plan was earlier this year. I mean, technically that came out in 2017, but that was a number one song all winter. So, Drake basically split the vote by having 3 huge songs this year. That's true. I hated to even dangle this out there because it is Cardi B, but I like it. Still does great for me, and I know
that's certainly on my list. It wasn't. I think it was actually 3 on my list. Yeah, it's a good song. I just my problem is with that song. I still prefer the Blackout All Stars version.
I was about to say it's faster.
I'm kind of waiting for her version's popularity to wane so I can go back to and there's been a couple times where I've played both. I've kind of started with the Blackout and then gone into hers.
Yeah.
Maybe done verse chorus and then into hers, because I still do like their version.
Man, What's weird is, I mean, I remember that song, but I never the Blackout All Stars version.
Yeah.
I never really remember playing it.
I still play it all the time. It's in my playlist. I think it's 94. I think I wrote that in my blog. Hang on.
Yeah.
Because the original song goes back to the 60s. Pete Rodriguez wrote a song called "I Like It Like That," which is kind of a Latino dance song. 1994, the Blackout All Stars did a version, and that song is it's never left my playlist. I still play it.
Do you have a best event?
Yes.
Or best gig? I know people hate when we say that.
Oh, I know. People are shuddering. We said gig. I did a wedding in June at a place called the Taylor Pavilion in Belmar. And that's one of the reasons it was my favorite. It was not only a great party and a great couple to work for, but this location, it's right on the beach, and it was a perfect night. So they had the sliders open, looking out on the water. It was one of the rare events where we were all in the same room for the entire time. So I spun during cocktail hour, and literally halfway through cocktail hour, I had people dancing already.
Oh, wow.
And I'll never forget the bride and groom. It was a small bridal party. All they wanted to do was be introduced, the bride and groom, no bridal party. So end of cocktail hour, the maitre d' comes up. She goes, "You got to get these people seated so we can do introductions." And I said, "I got this. Don't worry about it." And I brought the bride and groom in to a packed. I didn't clear the dance floor. Yeah. I cleared this with the photographer, and he was like, "Yeah, sure, this will be fine." Brought the bride and groom in to a packed dance floor. Basically did like 3 or 4 songs before we even slowed it down for their first dance, and then the rest of the night it was awesome. It was just an unforgettable party. The couple is actually friends of Jay Thompson, who works for me, so he was a guest there, and so I've gotten to see Carla and Tim were the bride and groom, and I bumped into them over the summertime, and we were, and I think they thought I was full of shit because I was like, "No, your wedding was," and they were probably like, "Yeah, you said."
Every band that says they come to your city, this is the greatest crowd.
That was the gig. When I look back on 2018, there were a lot of good ones, but that's the just kind of jumps off the page.
Hey, speaking of your guys, how about your boy Dan Mueller coming through?
Yeah, Dan was down there. So what'd you do? Hook him up with some gear?
I did, man. I hooked him up with some gear.
A few months ago, he told me about that, and so I said, get in touch with Joe. I'm sure he can help you out.
So shout out to Dan. I know he listens to the podcast. He's like in Guatemala or something now on vacation.
He is a world traveler, dude.
Bless him. He's awesome.
Good young man.
So anyway, a best event. This just popped into my head, man, because I was totally spacing. They all kind of ran together in a good way. My parents were at a gig this fall.
You mentioned that recently. Isn't that cool?
It was.
Yeah.
My parents have seen me play, a lot over the last few years, but it's normally been like a rehearsal dinner that they were invited to, and then that couple chose a band for their wedding, and my parents were at that wedding, and I obviously wasn't. And rehearsal dinners are tough. There's a lot of toast. There's a lot of talking, and they just never really saw me do my thing. But I mean, they saw the whole Joe Bunn show, the full setup, all the white gear, the introductions, everything. And they even danced, and I got out there and danced with my mom, which is super rare, as you know. Like
you getting out there and dancing is rare. Yeah, that's cool.
It was special.
Very cool.
So. Without naming names, can you think of a bad one you did this year?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I did one. I want to be vague about this just in case I didn't heard it. But yeah, I did a shit show of a wedding a few weeks ago. That was, I normally love my brides for the most part, but this one, she was tough to get along with and gave me
from the beginning or.
Oh, when I discovered it was the month before. Yeah. If I had known it in the sales process, we've talked about this. I'd never turned down a gig. If I had known who this bride really was, this is one of the few where I would have passed on the gig. Yep. But the problem is that, the nightmare signs didn't flare up until the month before the wedding. And at that point, it's too late to say, hey, here's your deposit back. I don't want to do your wedding. But it was a shit show. And one of the biggest things was she gave me horrible music. That cleared her dance floor, and yet she would come up to me and say, "You got to get these people dancing." And I'm like, but then she'd also say, "But stick to my music." And I'm like, "It's your music." Like we talked about in a review, because I mentioned this when I saw, your music is not working. Right. She would leave the room a couple times, and I would go off of her list, and not that it was a great party at that point, but it was good. Like I got people up, but then as soon as she came back in and I went back to her music, womp womp. Wow. So yeah, that was a nightmare gig, and the worst one I've done, not only in 2018 but in a while.
Yeah, man, I don't know that I have a worst. I really don't, man. I think you and I have entered this stratosphere of being very fortunate that the people that want us, in particular the owner of the company, really want us to do our thing. Yeah, they usually give us some songs and this, that, and the other, and I want some songs, but I think you and I have almost, or Mike, we've priced ourselves out of the Bridezilla phase. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and maybe that's why this experience was. I can't remember the last time I had an experience this nightmarish. So you could be right about this. This, for some reason, was just one that slipped through the cracks and got to me that I didn't love. Yeah.
Okay, so you and I both, I think, man, it's almost like we split this year and did different things convention-wise. Not even necessarily DJ conventions, but did you go to anything that really stood out? Because I know you did Midwest DJs. You were with me in Florida. We were together in Mobile Beat. Like, what stands out? What did you...
Well, I mean, the collective was awesome, dude. I love the collective. As I said, I hope I get invited back to it whenever and wherever it is next year. If I can make it, I will. But this was my first year going to Midwest DJs Live, and I just loved everything about it. I loved the vibe.
Was your first year. I did not.
It was,
that.
Yeah. It was my first year going, and I'm not speaking there in 2019, but I hope to be back in the future. You are, yeah. And I would encourage anyone listening to this, obviously get your Mobile Beat and PHDJ podcast or PHDJ workshop passes first. But if you are thinking about going to a show this spring, look into Midwest DJs Live. I think it's well worth. It's one of those. It reminded me a lot of ARM DJs, which I know you've been to, where it's not tiny, but it's not huge either. And it's what I guess you'd call it a regional conference. And it's the size where you can really kind of get to know everybody. You can get some one-on-one time with all the speakers. And I really did enjoy it thoroughly.
Yeah, man. I definitely loved the collective. I think I only did a couple things this year. I did go to, so I went to the collective, which...
Well, you were in Mobile Beat.
I was at last year. And Mobile Beat I thought was really well done. And I spoke at Mobile Beat, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did.
God, it feels like forever ago. Anyway. And then I did go to this 2-day internet summit here in Raleigh.
Oh yeah, and you took some notes from that we've already incorporated.
Yeah, I did, man, and I think that was a good 2-day show here. And again, it was right down the street from my office, so I did actually I think I spent 3 days there at the convention center, and that was really good. I would definitely go back to that again, especially because it's local.
Right.
But I guess going into and again. I don't want to say or get ahead of myself on the collective thing, but we're definitely doing it again next year, and it may open up a little bit, but we'll talk more about that as details become available. But I did want to talk about like takeaway or a takeaway from anything you went to, Mike. I mean, did you have one in particular that you really brought back and were like,
I'm gonna mention something from the collective, and I'm fully aware that that's probably just because it's top of mind. We just went a few weeks ago, but I don't even know who said it. I don't even know whether it was one of the speakers or one of the attendees, but somebody used the term snackable content. Yeah. And it's such and listen, I understand. I've heard Alan Berg talk about shorten your emails and shorten your message and the attention span. Okay, great. And, the attention span of our clients are shortening. So I've heard this message before, but just putting it in that term just made it so easy to understand. And we've already made significant changes to our emails and some of our messages and the videos that I'm editing because, we understand that. And thinking in that term of snackable, nobody wants a full meal. You gotta divvy it out that way. That has probably and again, it's probably just because it's very recent, but that just that term has really helped us, I think.
I agree, Mike. I mean, people's attention span gets shorter and shorter and shorter every year. I think one of mine, again, was from the collective. Again, that was only, a month or so ago, Mike. was from the Hans, and we've talked about them. How funny they
Those
were.
Motherfuckers. But by the way, that's an inside joke.
That
was the term they dropped about 90 times during their.
They came out hard, but the main thing that they were talking about, or one of the things that they talked about, and I was even changing it as they were speaking, was just the verbiage on your website. I think a copywriter probably got a hold of ours at one point, because a lot of what it says, even now, and I'm still going back and working on it, doesn't sound like our voice or my voice. It sounded very corny and canned.
So their point about reading it out loud and seeing if it was, I think it's a great point. How does it feel coming out of your mouth? And I did the same thing. And our website felt natural because nobody's written anything on our website but me. So it did feel like words that I would say because they are.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. Mine needs some tweaking, but I remember, like, as they're speaking, I'm logging into WordPress, like, maybe I can change it before they actually see.
I think that's one of the biggest challenges with when you're at a convention nowadays that has Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
You know, somebody says something about your website, you're just going to go right to your website.
Right.
So now you've missed the next 4 things they're talking about because you're trying to investigate thing number 1. So that is a challenge. You know, it's almost like we should shut down the Wi-Fi and everyone's computers, make you take handwritten notes, and then you can go back to your room and do some investigating.
It was like when somebody said do the speed test, and then everybody became obsessed
with
that
website
load time.
Yeah. Who shared that? Chris Romero shared that tip,
Romero.
right? Yeah.
Proudest professional accomplishment? What do you think? Do you have anything?
Come on, you can guess mine, can't you?
The book, man.
Yeah, dude, no doubt. I mean, and I'll tell you what, a close second, you didn't come to Atlantic City this year at DJ Expo, but they asked me to spin a print set. And so that's probably a close second because that moment. But yeah, dude, I mean, publishing, finally getting 2.5 years of work done and published and printed. And I was telling Kelly this. Thank you. I was telling Kelly this the other day. Christmas morning is going to be an emotional morning for me because so many people have bought this book and asked me to sign it to somebody else, and they're giving it as a gift on Christmas. Dude. And just knowing how many people are going to be opening this book on Christmas morning, people that don't even know me, people are going to be opening this book going, what's this?
Yeah.
And the gift giver is going to go, oh, it's a guy I know, and he wrote this book. It's really going to be an emotional day for me, and I'm just thrilled. So yeah, I mean, I can't come up with anything that I'm more proud of this year.
There's no way, man. I would say that there's really in the last 2 or 3 months, I'm blown away about this DJ booth company, man. Like that I've created a product.
That's great, dude.
That people all over the country are buying and sending me their pictures every weekend. Like, look at my setup. Like, we have a product. Like, we actually built a functioning, lightweight, mobile DJ booth. I mean, I know Dom that works for you has one. I mean, several other people in New Jersey are starting to get them. I mean, and honestly, it's one of those things, like if we could crank them out faster and it wasn't so hard to build fiberglass, I could have sold 100 more. You know what I mean? It's hard. I've been in that warehouse making them before. It's not easy, and that's why we haven't sold more. But
let people know how can they find it.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. VisionDJDesigns.com. VisionDJDesigns.com.
Very cool.
And the other one, I still got to save this one, Mike. The 27th, I'll announce my next one. I'm not quite ready. I'll tell you off the air, but
okay.
I got. We'll start next year talking about.
Well, I was going to say our first show of 2019. I think we should talk about goals and things we hope to accomplish. So save it for that. So 2 weeks from now, you'll be ready to talk about it.
I will. All
right. Very cool. Very cool.
How about on the personal note, Mike? Let's wrap it up with that. Any personal moment or achievement or. I mean, I know you had a little, you had some drama and trauma this year with your kids / pets,
thanks for bringing that up. We had a segment out already, but it's funny because I'm looking at it on my desktop. Yeah. Kelly and I hiked a glacier this year, and I'm looking at that, and cool. and And the picture that we got from that together is now the desktop on my laptop. And it was an amazing moment. Just, I mean, it was cold and it was uncomfortable in the fact that we were wet and chilly. But for 3 hours, we were on that glacier hiking with these what they call clamp-ons, which are basically like claws on the bottom of your feet.
Yeah.
So you're walking on a sheet of ice, on a block of ice, and thinking, there's no way I can balance on this. And then as soon as those clamp-ons start digging in, you go, oh, I can. The scenes were amazing. It was just incredible. I could not take enough pictures at this thing. Part of the fact was that it was a pain in the ass getting the camera out of my jacket each time.
Take your glove off.
But I mean, I look back at the pictures I took, and they don't do it justice how awe-inspiring hiking a glacier was. So as far as singular personal moment, that would have to be it.
Yeah, man, I'm trying to, I don't know that I have any one particular thing. I mean, I think that
you and Ainsley had a vacation this year, right?
we did, but not really, because we took the kids, and to me, that's not. I call that a trip, not a vacation.
Not an adult vacation.
No, we went to we swapped our Caribbean vacation for a family Mexico trip. It was fun. I mean, the kids had a good time. They were on spring break. It was madness at the resort. It's just not the right time of year to go. But I mean, I think with anything, man, you know, being married is work. It's like anything else. You got to work at it. I mean, I think if you keep your family together,
and the children too. I mean, that's the layer that Kelly and I don't have. So, you know, we go on vacation. We don't have to worry about, do we bring the kids? Do we not bring the kids? Who's going to watch them? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, we had what, 10 days? No, 2 weeks in Iceland. And then we just recently took that 1 week trip to California. So, you know, we had lots of nice
things,
husband-wife time.
I think with me, my kids, you know, I think it was cool to see Colin, my 13-year-old, DJ several parties this year. I mean,
that's cool. That's
really cool. And just, you know, that's about the age I was.
That's one of those, that could be a personal or a business achievement. Either way, it's something you're extremely proud of. Yeah.
And then, you know, my youngest 10, it's just the fact that he's an actual legit athlete when I can't be worse at sports.
So where did you get it from?
Dude, I'm telling you, last night he was like,
Ainsley is fairly athletic, right? I mean, she's a yoga.
Yes, but I mean, it's crazy, man, because I know good players. Like when I'm watching him play soccer.
You're not being the biased dad here.
I'm legit watching this kid like, oh my God, he's good. Last night, basketball. I mean, give him a cricket bat. He can play cricket. He just is an athlete.
Right.
It's unreal. So those are my
cool.
My boys. But man, this has been a great year, man. I think the podcast did really well. I'm sure we picked up some new listeners. I think you and I both agree that our egos somewhat are fueled by the Facebook posts and
no doubt
and messages we get and people seeing us out. You know, when they do.
I enjoy chatting with you once a week, but if we didn't get the positive feedback from it, I don't know that I would continue to do this. So yeah, thank you everybody for the comments and shares and likes and everything else. And thank you, Joe. It's been a fun year dialing on every week and kind of shooting the shit with you.
My man, dude. Well, dude. Guys, thank you all so much for listening. Mike, thank you for doing this with me every week.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Joe. Happy New Year. We will chat in 2019.
And you guys enjoy the Christmas episode that Mike busted his ass on next week. Thank you, guys.
So long.
Later.